One summer when I was younger, a seagull actually made a nest in the chimney of our family home and laid eggs and was protective of those eggs. So every time we tried to go in the garden or like go outside the front door, it would like attack us and just dive at us. So we spent an entire summer just not going outside. So I know a thing or two about seagulls. Oh my god, hey! Welcome back to my Stagey YouTube channel. If you are seeing my face for the first time, hello! My name is Mickey Joe and I am obsessed with all things theatre. And I am a theatre YouTuber and content creator, as well as a freelance theatre critic. And so as well as doing written reviews for shows that I see here in the UK, I also do video reviews for YouTube. I cover a whole breadth of productions. We're talking plays, we're talking musicals, we're talking West End, we're talking off West End, we're talking regionally, around the country, parts of England I didn't even know existed, to be perfectly honest. So if that sounds like something you would be interested in, make sure you subscribe to my channel for plenty more stagey content. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, feel free to give me a super thanks down below. That would really help me as a stagey content creator. So today, the show I want to talk to you about is a play called The Seagull. Now, this is a revival of an Anton Chekhov play that has just opened at the Harold Pinter Theatre. It was originally meant to open the same production just before the pandemic. I'm not even sure, it might have actually opened and played a couple of performances, but it was really on the cusp of when it was meant to be, March 2020, and that was at the Playhouse Theatre. Things are very different now in the West End because the Playhouse Theatre is now the Kit Kat Club, where Cabaret is playing and is not going anywhere anytime soon. But the show has now reopened in its new home at the Harold Pinter Theatre. It is a bold revival by director Jamie Lloyd, who is known for his bold stylistic revivals, and I was very grateful to be invited to review the opening night of this show for whatsonstage.com. So if you want to read the full review that I've already written, you can head over to whatsonstage.com, or you can find it on ShowScore. Now, ShowScore is an exciting new site that has just launched in the UK that collates all of the reviews that have been written about all of the shows in the West End and in off-West End theatres as well. So for any given show, you can see all of the critics' reviews, but also audience member reviews as well, which means you can sign up to ShowScore and you can post your thoughts about the shows that you have seen. I know regular viewers of my channel love to comment down below with all your thoughts about the productions, so you can take those reviews and you can go and post them on your own pages on ShowScore. And you can also follow me on ShowScore, and that way you'll be very up to date with all of the reviews that I have written, because only some of them actually make it to YouTube. So feel free to click the link in the description or in the pinned comment down below to go and sign up to ShowScore. Also, before I forget, I am giving away some very exclusive Gala night Seagull programs. Here we have the lovely Emilia Clarke on the front and a little golden sticker that says Gala night, Thursday the 7th of July 2022. I have a few of these to give away to some lucky winners. All you need to do to be in with a chance of winning this lovely program, which has all of the cast information, rehearsal photos, the usual things that you would expect in a program, some lovely passages, some very interesting reading here actually. All you need to do is comment down below with hashtag MickeyJoeGiveaway. Make sure you've liked this video, subscribe to my channel, and if you want an extra entry, you can head over to my Instagram and Twitter pages, also at MickeyJoeTheatre, where you can share some posts on there for an extra chance to win. All of the details of this giveaway will be listed in the description of this video. Now, let's talk about the play. So this is, I feel like, one of the most polarizing openings that London has seen in quite a while, because there were a handful of 4-star reviews and there were also a handful of 2-star reviews. I think someone even gave it a 1-star review. But it definitely divided critics and it's divided audience members, because I have heard very positive things and I have heard very negative reactions to this play as well. I will let you take a moment to guess which side of this I fell on. And actually, even though I feel like I'm always coming on here to talk about not liking a show that much, I gave this a 4-star review. I really enjoyed this production. And I wasn't sure entirely what to expect going in. I've never seen a production of The Seagull before. I've seen lots of productions of Chekhov plays, but never this one, even though this is an incredibly important, very notable Chekhov play. I know enough about Chekhov to know that it's going to be about vodka and despair. But I also know Jamie Lloyd's work well enough, and I had seen his previous production in the season that this was meant to be at the Playhouse Theatre, which was Cyrano, starring James McAvoy. I really enjoyed that production, but it's definitely bold, stylistic, very edgy, very contemporary, very different to traditional versions of the plays. And he does this quite a lot. I've seen various things that he's directed, and it's very often a striking reimagining of the traditional play. Or musical. He's also directed some musicals. So the big talking point here seems to be the set. Now, it's not too different from the set that had been designed by his collaborator Sutra Gilmore for Cyrano. It's just a big box. I described it in my review as kind of like a giant Kallax from IKEA. If anyone knows what that is, I have some over there. But it's basically this giant box that forms the stage. It's all chipboard. It has a back, it has a roof, it has sides. There's no wings for the actors to leave via. So during the pre-show, Daniel Monks is already lying on stage, and gradually, in sort of the 20-30 minutes leading up to the beginning of the play, other actors are walking through the stalls and walking on stage barefoot to go and join him. If you're already thinking this is sounding a little bit pretentious, that's because it is. The only set pieces that are on this very bare stage are a bunch of green plastic chairs, and the actors are wearing very traditional clothes. They could have been dressed by Zara or Shine. For all intents and purposes, it looks exactly like a rehearsal studio. It's worth saying the lighting is also not particularly flashy. Were it not for the fact they all have head mics on, because Jamie Lloyd loves a microphone, let me tell you, then you could photograph this and it would literally look like a rehearsal rather than a piece that's actually made it to a stage, which is a very bold choice, and a lot of people couldn't get past that level of bareness. The last time a Chekhov play was produced at the Harold Pinter Theatre, it was Uncle Vanya, again in 2020, I believe, and that had a stunning set, and the use of lighting to make it look like light was coming through the trees and through a greenhouse at the side was just stunning. Incredibly realistic set, and couldn't be farther artistically from this set. But these are all very deliberate choices from a very bold theatre maker, which Jamie Lloyd is. He has chosen to use microphones so that every word and every breath of each of his company can be heard clearly. Some of them really take advantage of this. There's an awful lot of mumbling that you wouldn't usually hear on a West End stage, especially in a play, because they are not notoriously mic'd as much as musicals. And a lot of actors I know dislike this because they think that the discipline has become less important, that actors aren't having to project because everything is mic'd now. I would argue when it comes to giving a thorough acting performance that volume is not the greatest nuance and the most important tool in your wheelhouse as an actor. And it's possible that by speaking at a more naturalistic volume, a more lifelike and realistic one, you can actually achieve a level of realism that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. It's all in service of what we call verisimilitude. And by keeping the set bare, by keeping the costuming unexciting, by keeping the staging relatively still, he's really focusing on the words, which works here because this translation of The Seagull by Anya Rice is so good. The script is consistently witty and incisive and evokes so much in all of its characters. You can just live in each of these moments. It gives you so much to work with as an actor, and they absolutely do work with that. The reason that this all worked for me, and I didn't find it overly pretentious, is because it forces you to focus on the relationships between the characters and the performances, and I thought the company were universally so strong. I will single out a couple of strong performances, but I thought the acting is what it forces you to focus on, and that was first rate, completely impeccable. Now, if you don't want spoilers for this production, I'm going to touch lightly on a few plot points, so skip ahead to the next section. So if you hadn't noticed it in the marketing for this show, Emilia Clarke is making her West End debut, not her first theatrical performance, but her West End debut. Now, she's best known for playing Daenerys Targaryen, the mother of dragons from Game of Thrones, and she is appearing here as Nina. Her character is an aspiring actress who is living in this little provincial hamlet away from the city. Chekhov's work often deals with these themes of isolation, and that's something that a lot of these characters experience. Another recurring theme in his plays is unrequited love, and we see a decent amount of this here as well. You have Constantine, who has an affection for Nina, and Nina's affections are delivered elsewhere. And given the range of what we have seen Emilia Clarke do before, it's a little bit disappointing that she doesn't have a meatier role in this play, because a lot of them have some real substance to what they have to work with. Right towards the end of the second act, she gets a little bit more depth and she gets some weightier themes to contend with, but especially in the first act, She's really just this doe-eyed, enraptured girl falling in love with this magnificent writer who she idolizes, and she is oblivious to Constantine's affections for her. And she doesn't get a lot of variation in that. She just gets to play naivety and fondness, and she does it very well. Like, her face is incredibly expressive. She has those eyebrows that can do remarkable things. But within the material, she doesn't really get to contend with particularly exciting depths of emotion. Which is not to say there is not great writing for women in this production, because the standout performance in this play is given by Indira Varma. Now, Indira Varma, you may remember, also appeared in Game of Thrones and has appeared extensively on the stage. She is playing a character called Arkadina, and from the beginning of the first act, she really sets herself apart as the most important person on that stage. She is this famous actress who has deigned to grace her family with her presence on this island because her son has written a play that he is premiering there, and she is just every stereotype of self-indulgent celebrity that you can possibly imagine. She's so incredibly haughty and obnoxious and delivers these wonderful backhanded compliments to almost everyone around her. It's completely thrilling, and anytime that she senses that she is losing the attention of her young lover, or that she is being upstaged in any way by a younger, perhaps brighter talent, or that a moment really is happening and that it's not about her, or that it's not going to favour her, or even that she's not winning a game of charades, for crying out loud, she is going to do something to redirect the focus and make it about her again. It's completely thrilling just to watch her being hilarious and snide and catty, but also she gets some really interesting moments where she is using her power to be manipulative and vindictive and incredibly selfish, and it's such humanity within a characterization. It's a really wonderful performance and thoroughly steals the entire show. I do also want to talk about Daniel Monks as Constantine. Daniel Monks is someone whose career trajectory I've been watching for a while. He's given some very exciting performances in London, and here he gets some real interesting moments as Constantine. He gets a lot of weighty stuff to really process and to deal with. If he doesn't feel like the main protagonist of the play, it's probably because of the strength of Indira Varma's performance and not because that's not how it's meant to be perceived. Another very interesting one is Tom Rhys-Harries. Now, he plays a successful writer who is the young lover of Arkadina, the actress who's also Constantine's mother. His character's name is Boris Trigorin, and Constantine is very resentful of him, either because of professional jealousy or perhaps romantic jealousy, or because of his relationship with his mother. We never really get a straight answer out of Constantine, but all of those ideas are explored interchangeably. And I think for the purposes of this play, you're not meant to root for Boris Trigorin. I think he's meant to be slightly more obvious in his pretentiousness and is meant to be more emotionally inaccessible to an audience, because he does a lot of things in the plot of this play that are objectively very selfish and cause a lot of misery for those around him. But the way that Tom plays him is so fascinating. He isn't presented whatsoever as a villain. So in this rivalry that forms between him and Constantine, you really don't know which side you're meant to be falling on as an audience, and you stay that much more hooked on every word because you don't know where the line, where the sentence, where the paragraph is necessarily going to take you. You're sort of meeting each of these characters, and in many ways they each convince you as they are speaking, because what you have here is just humans. It's not a play that necessarily has an agenda or is prescribing a certain reaction to it. I don't know whether that's to its success or to its detriment that it leaves so much to interpretation, but it's definitely very interesting. And the last one I'll mention, and I know I'm picking a lot of people out of this cast, but the acting was so strong, I could talk about all of them at length. Sophie Wu as Masha. She was just fantastic. She was hilarious. She gave this really dry delivery of this clearly very depressed girl. It was very Kat Dennings, it was very Aubrey Plaza, it was very sort of a sitcom vibe, and that was really great in the beginning. Where it kind of lost me was it undercut some of the seriousness of later revelations that she made about her life and about her mental well-being because of how funny it had been at the beginning. We're sort of trained as an audience to laugh at her dark and sardonic takes on things, that it makes it harder for us to really take her particularly seriously. The Harold Pinter Theatre is such an interesting venue. I didn't attempt to stage door afterwards. It was press night. I wanted to leave and write my review, and I don't tend to stage door often anyway, but I dare say there is probably a mob that forms waiting to meet Emilia Clarke. There's this weird thing at the Harold Pinter where if you're in the stalls, the women's toilets are on the left-hand side and the men's are on the right at the bottom of the stairs to go down into the stalls, but it's not particularly easy to get from one side to the other once you're already down there. So it's possible you may have to go to the toilet one side and then go back up to go round the other side. It's not the easiest theatre in the world to traverse. I think I was somewhere like row F in the stalls. I'm wondering if the stage was a bit high for people in the front row, but then I would also envy them the opportunity to see that acting that close up. This is one of those where you really want to be honed in to every facial expression, every nuance of those acting performances, because that's all that you really have. It's a very still and very steady kind of a staging. Obviously there are no set pieces, so nothing is going to block your views from other positions throughout the theatre. I will say that the sound was fantastic, really well designed, every word was so crisp, and the audience were completely rapt, just like so engaged. One of the most attentive, focused, unified audiences I think I've been a part of in recent memory. I think Game of Thrones fans would enjoy this show. I think there's a lot to enjoy in these acting performances. I think the way that these characters try and one-up each other, there's a lot to be said about the balance of power and romance, and a lot of those things are very Game of Thrones. You know, there's passion, there's rivalry, there's lots to enjoy here, even if the plot itself is quite steady. I think people who have never seen a Chekhov play would also enjoy this production. I think this is a great way to start. It's tonally very familiar of a Chekhov, but has a lot more levity than you might expect with a traditional version of it. You know, the beginning is very funny. There's an awful lot to laugh at. In the second act, you will struggle more to laugh, and I think generally the second act lacks a lot of buoyancy. I said the same thing about Cyrano, actually, where you have this very engaging first act, and then in the second act, it becomes suddenly and unexpectedly a lot heavier and a lot slower, and that very engaged, very rapt, very attentive audience grows a little bit restless while that's happening. So those are all of my thoughts about The Seagull. Like I said, if you would like to read the full review that I wrote for What's on Stage, you can find it at whatsonstage.com or on ShowScore, which you can sign up to with the link in the description of this video or in the pinned comment in the comments section. Also, don't forget to comment below with hashtag #MickeyJoe giveaway to be in with a chance of winning one of these exclusive Gala night programs from The Seagull. And while you're there, let me know your thoughts on this production. Have you seen it already? Are you planning to see it? Have you seen any Jamie Lloyd shows in the past, and what do you think of his work as a director? I've recently begun referring to him as the bad boy of classical theatre, which I think is also not that difficult to attain because there are not many bad boys of classical theatre in the UK. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to subscribe to my Stagey YouTube channel for plenty more content coming soon about all your favourite shows. Also, feel free to drop me a super thanks down below. It really helps me as a Stagey content creator. Or you can visit patreon.com/MickeyJoe to gain access to some exclusive photo and video content. I hope that everyone is staying safe and that you have a stagey day.
For 10 more seconds, I'm Mickey Joe Theatre. Oh my god, hey, thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!